All right, let's look at the final few problems here on Trig Chapter 1, Practice Test 1, number 35. We have n to the 6th over y to the 10th times y to the 12th over n to the 5th. Well, if you think what this means, we have n to the 6th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In the bottom, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Times what do we have? 12 of them up here. See if I can fit that in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Look at me. Times n. Now, granted, I would be able to look at this, visualize this, and get my answer, but we wrote it out. Didn't hurt anything. We see that down in the bottom, there's 5 here. They're going to go away with 5 up top because this is like one big fraction now. And so if you have 6 n's up top and 5 down below, you only have 1 left up top. And if we have 12 y's right here and 10 right here, well, we have to figure out how many we have left. Well, these 10 are going to cross out with 10 of those guys, leaving what? Y to the second power up top. Down below, we have a 1. Anything divided by 1 is simply itself. So you have n times y squared. Now, looking at this personally, I could see that there were 10 here, 12 here. So I know that basically all 10 are going to cross out and leave me with 2 left there. With the n's, there's 6 here, 5 here, so I can see those 5 are going to go away and leave me with 1 up top. And I can see that I'm having ny squared over 1, which just is ny squared. Okay, let's look at 36. Move down a little bit. N to the negative 3. As soon as I see that, I know, hey, we're dealing with a fraction because that n to the negative third power means it is down below. Y to the 5th stays where it is. N to the negative second means it goes down below. Y to the negative third goes down below. Now, if I write this out, I know that's a y up top, down below, and n, y. And I can see those 3 are going to cross out with those 3. That's it. So up top, I have a y squared, and in the bottom, I have an n to the 5th. Now, that is how I write my answer, and that's great. Some might say, hey, go ahead and rewrite it as y squared times n to the negative 5th. They're the same thing. There's no difference. Personally, that looks cleaner to me, and I like that better. Okay, to the next page. Number 37. Okay, we have a whole bunch of negative exponents. So I'm just going to clean that up. This piece is going to move. That's negative, so he's going to move, both moving to the bottom. That's going to move to the top. That's going to move to the top. So let's go ahead and do that. So first, I see c to the third. It doesn't move. The w to the negative 5th says, hey, you move below. H to the negative 1 means you move below. I'm not going to put a first power on it. It's understood. I now come to the bottom. C negative 1 is down below, so now it's going to move up top. W negative 2 now moves up top. H stays where it is. Now we maybe could go ahead and get our answer here, but let's just say we write it out. W, down below, W, H. Does anybody cross out? Well, those 2 W's and those 2 W's would become 1 over 1, but that's it. So I see the top's going to be c to the 4th. The bottom will be w to the 3rd, h squared. That's what I see for 37. 38. Now, these are a little tricky because it's this whole thing to the negative 2. Well, before we do anything, we need to clean up that inside. So, and when I do, so I'm going to move things around. I'm going to clean it up. But this negative 2 will become a negative 1 times 2. And negative 1 is the reciprocal button, basically. It says, hey, give me the reciprocal of it. But first, let's clean this up. So I have a to the negative 2, so that goes to the bottom. B squared, so it stays. A in the bottom stays. B to the negative 4 makes it move up top. C, so he stays. When we clean this up, B, that's B to the 6th. A squared times an A, well, that's A to the 3rd, C. Now it's to the negative 1 times 2. We go ahead and evaluate this to the negative 1, the reciprocal, which all that means is everybody is going to flip. Okay, everybody's going to flip. So a to the third c comes up top, b to the 6 goes to the bottom, and now we're going to square it. Remember, squaring means we're going to take this and multiply it by itself. So if we list out what we have, AAAC, AAAC, bottom is a b to the 6, b, 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 and another. Since it's multiplication here, that's why I just wrote that one whole big bar, because basically we're going to multiply everybody up top and everybody down below. A's, I get a to the 6, c squared. How many b's do you see in the bottom? 12. So that's what we have for that guy. Excuse me. Number 39, 2/5 to the negative 2. Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at that and we're going to say, hey, that's the same as a negative 1 times 2. Negative 1 is the reciprocal, so we're going to flip what we have here and then square it. So that means 5/2 times another 5/2, which gives you 25/4. I am okay if you leave the answer is 25/4. That's perfectly fine in this situation. Now you don't have to change it to its decimal equivalent of what, 6.25, which is what that would be, but 25/4 is perfectly fine. Number 40 says 3a to the negative 5th, that whole quantity to the second power. Well, as soon as I see that, I'm like, hey, I got to rewrite this. So 3a to the negative 5th is nothing but 3 over a to the 5th. And I'm going to square it, which means I'm going to multiply it by itself. 3 times 3 is 9. A to the 5th. We got A times AA. How many A's you got? A to the 10th. I didn't write that one out, but again, we need to start being able to see it a little bit. 41. Got to clean up the inside. So I know there's a fraction. 2 stays. S comes down below. T, no negative exponents, so it stays. U has a negative exponent, so it moves. D has nothing, so it stays. And this whole thing's to the negative 3, so we're going to look at it as a negative 1 times 3. Excuse me. Does anything cross out here? No. So we can go ahead and evaluate, because the inside is all cleaned up. Everything's nice and clean. We can go ahead and do the negative 1, which simply says, hey, give me the reciprocal. Flip everybody. So the S3U goes up top. The 2t squared d goes to the bottom. And then we're going to cube it. Now, when we're going to cube it, that means multiply it by itself 3 times. 2. So I'm going to write this out 3 times. And in this case, for you, I'm going to go ahead and write out everything. So SSSU over a 2TTD times SSSU 2TTD SSSU 2TTD. So going across top, how many S's you see? I see 9 of them. U, that's U to the 3rd. Down below, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. Commonly, I'll see kids put a 6 and miss the question. Don't make that mistake. It's not adding. It's 2 times 2 times 2. T times T times T times T times T times T. T to the 6. D, D, D. D to the 3rd. And that's our final answer for that one. A few more. So this one, we're just wanting to clean it up. Y to the 3rd stays. E to the 5th is going to move down below. S to the 3rd stays. Y to the 7th stays down below. E to the 2nd stays down below. S move up top. Now when we look at this, we have Y, S, 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 S. In the bottom, E, 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 E. E. All right, I had enough room. Didn't think I would. 3 y's are going to go away with those 3 y's. Oh, that's it. So up top, what do we have? We have s to the 7th. In the bottom, I have how many e's? E to the 7th. And how many y's? Y to the 4th. There's problem 42. 43. Oh, 43 is nice and easy compared to what we've had. So all we have is negative 8 in y. The reason I put the negative 8 is some of you are going to try and move it. It's not a negative exponent. It's just a negative number. Now we just cross out. Well, that y and that y go, but don't forget 10 and 8 both can be divided by 2. So it becomes a 4 and a 5. So the final answer up top, negative 4n. Oh, no sirree, Bob. Somebody got a little too excited there, forgot to cross out the who. I didn't cross out the n's. So I left with negative 4 up top, down below a 5y squared. That was not intentional, but I noticed very quickly, wait a second, I forgot to cross somebody out. 44. So we need to break down 75. Well, I recognize that as 25 and a 3, and then a 5 and a 5. Breaks down pretty quickly. So we have 20 plus, basically you're going to have a square root of 5 and a 3. So 5 comes out. 5 root 3 is what square root of 75 simplifies to. And a 15. And now we say, hey, that, and that all can be divided by 5. That becomes a 3, a 1, and a 4. So I'm left with 4 plus 1 root 3, which is root 3, all over 3. Do not try to cross that guy and that guy out ever. One's outside the house, one's inside. They cannot ever go with one another. And there we have all of the problems for you.